Three luxury cars, 100,000 miles, same roads, same driver, same maintenance schedule. Only one of them made it through without a single unplanned repair bill that crossed four figures. Today, every mile of data gets exposed with exact repair costs, dealer interactions, and long-term reliability findings attached to every entry. Stay until the end. The car that survived is not the one the reliability forums predicted. It is not the one the dealer would recommend. And it is not the one most drivers in this audience would have chosen at the start of this investigation. Let us get into it. Number 15. The first 10,000 miles. Lied to me. The Mercedes cabin looked dramatic, the ride was calm, and the car had that soft, expensive feeling that makes ordinary traffic seem less annoying. The Audi was quieter about what it could do. The cabin was clean, the controls felt solid, and the car seemed planted in a way that made rain and rough weather feel less important. Then there was the BMW 3 Series. The BMW did not try hard to impress me with theater. It won me over with the driving position, the steering, the way the chassis responded, and how the car seemed to move around the driver. The important thing was how convincing each one felt before age had a chance to speak. Mercedes sold comfort, Audi sold solidity, BMW sold connection. At this stage, choosing between them felt like choosing a personality, not choosing which repair history I wanted to inherit later. The seals are fresh, the bushings are tight, the cooling system is young, the electronics have not spent years baking through summers and freezing through winters. That changed quickly as the mileage climbed. The first warning did not come from a catastrophic engine failure or a dashboard full of red lights. It came from something far more boring, and that is what made it dangerous. The next stage showed me that the cheapest looking part of luxury ownership can quietly decide whether the car reaches 100,000 miles at all. Number 14. Routine service. Became the first real test. Oil changes are boring until skipping one costs you an engine. Fresh oil, correct fluids, good filters, healthy coolant, proper tires, and early inspections are not optional if you plan to keep one for serious mileage. This is where service history started becoming more valuable than low mileage. I would rather see a properly maintained car with more miles than a neglected one with fewer. A stamped book, detailed invoices, correct fluids, and evidence of preventative work tell you how seriously the previous owner treated the machine. Oil level matters, coolant level matters, transmission servicing matters. Ignoring a small smell, a slow leak, or an occasional hesitation because the car still drives normally is how a manageable repair turns into a frightening invoice. The difference was that predictable maintenance felt easier to accept than unpredictable failure. Paying for a scheduled service hurts once. Chasing a mystery warning hurts every time you start the car. If you enjoy seeing what really happens to luxury cars after the easy miles are gone, subscribe now. Also, before the problems get serious, tell me in the comments which one you think will survive best, Mercedes, BMW, or Audi. Keep that answer in mind because by number 1, you may be surprised by how wrong or right you were. That surprise began with the Mercedes, and it did not arrive as a breakdown. It arrived as a tiny change in the way the car felt. Number 13. The Mercedes started losing. Its magic first. The Mercedes did not fail. It whispered first, a little more vibration at idle, a small knock over a rough patch, a cabin that no longer felt quite as isolated as it did at the beginning. They matter more in a Mercedes because refinement is part of what you paid for. As mounts age, the engine may still run perfectly, yet the steering wheel or seat can begin carrying a faint vibration you never noticed before. Bushings, links, mounts, and dampers usually do not announce their age with one huge dramatic bang. They loosen the car one small piece at a time. That was the Mercedes problem. A cheaper car can develop a mild vibration and still feel like itself. A Mercedes develops the same vibration, and suddenly every traffic light reminds you that the expensive smoothness is fading. It made me pay attention. A luxury car also has to preserve enough of its original character to justify the extra cost of keeping it alive. Mercedes was already making that argument harder. The danger is letting several small issues pile up. One worn mount may be manageable. Add tired control arm bushings, a weak battery, and a leaking seal, and suddenly a car that still runs well can demand a 4-figure visit just to feel expensive again. The Audi still felt tighter, and for a moment I thought it might become the sensible survivor. Then I noticed the one thing Audi owners of certain A4 generations are repeatedly told never to ignore: disappearing coolant. Number 12. The Audi. Cooling system changed. The entire mood. A coolant warning can turn a calm drive into a detective story. On the Audi A4, especially with commonly used turbocharged petrol engines, water pump and cooling system leaks are well documented enough that a used buyer should take coolant loss seriously. It is what happens if someone keeps topping it up instead of finding the cause. A water pump or thermostat problem can begin as an irritating leak. Let the engine overheat badly enough, and the repair conversation can move from hundreds of dollars to thousands very quickly. Yet confidence had changed. Before a long trip, I would want the coolant level checked. I would want to know whether there was dried residue around the pump area. I would want service records, not somebody saying, "They all do that." A known weak point is not a death sentence when you catch it early. It becomes dangerous when an owner treats it as normal until the temperature rises. Coolant problems are where hesitation becomes costly. A small leak caught early may be a straightforward repair. Repeated overheating can threaten gaskets, cylinder heads, and other major engine parts. That is why I would never accept unexplained coolant loss on a used Audi without finding the cause first. At this point, the Audi had given me the first problem that could genuinely turn ugly if ignored. BMW owners should not celebrate. The next inspection revealed the stereotype BMW has spent decades trying to escape, and this time the evidence was sitting where no owner wants to see it. Number 11. The BMW finally showed its weak spot oil. Just enough dampness to make you stop and look twice. After years of warming up, cooling down, expanding, and contracting, seals can harden, and gaskets can start allowing oil through. BMW has a long reputation for oil leaks, and although newer engines have improved in many areas, a high-mileage BMW still deserves a careful inspection around common sealing points. A leak is information. A slow leak can become faster. A repair that was annoying at 1 mileage can become expensive after months of neglect. Strangely, it did not scare me as much as the Audi coolant issue. The reason was simple. I would rather deal with a visible mechanical problem I can identify than spend weeks wondering which hidden system will produce the next warning. It means certainty has value. The lesson was not that BMW had escaped its past. It was that the problem had to be judged by severity. A light seat, a falling oil level, and oil reaching hot components are 3 very different stages. Catching the first stage can prevent the third from becoming your next expensive surprise. The next test could ruin any one of them in a single repair. It was time to see what the transmissions had to say. Number 10. The transmission separated. Confidence from fear. One hard engagement can make you watch the tachometer like it owes you money. One hesitation can turn every future shift into a test. The Mercedes automatic could still feel beautifully smooth, but any shudder, delay, or unusual behavior deserved diagnosis immediately. The Audi often uses the S-tronic dual-clutch gearbox. Owners have also reported occasional lurching or hesitation, which makes correct servicing and a proper test drive important on a used example. Then came the BMW. Many recent 3 Series models pair their engines with the ZF 8-speed automatic, and that combination is one of the reasons modern BMWs have changed so many people's minds. Transmission behavior also exposed how important a proper test drive is. I wanted cold shifts, warm shifts, gentle acceleration, harder acceleration, reverse engagement, and low-speed crawling. A 10-minute spin around the dealer block can hide exactly the hesitation that becomes obvious once the car is fully warm. Smooth shift, clean response, no drama. A gearbox repair can easily turn a used luxury bargain into the most expensive cheap car you have ever owned. Suddenly, the $2,000 you saved at purchase means nothing. BMW had taken its first clear lead, yet the next category could erase it instantly because engines and gearboxes are only half the story in a modern luxury car. The expensive computer network wrapped around them was about to enter the fight. Number 9. Electronics turned luxury into a different kind of risk. Sometimes all it needs is a warning message that disappears before the workshop can reproduce it. Digital displays, parking sensors, cameras, seat modules, climate controls, electronic parking brakes, infotainment, lighting modules, driver assistance, comfort systems. When everything behaved, the cabin still felt special. When one warning or glitch appeared, the car suddenly felt much older. BMW was not immune either. Recent reliability surveys still show electronics and infotainment among the fault areas owners report. Before blaming a major module, check the basics. A weak 12-volt battery can make a modern German car act possessed. Low voltage can trigger strange warnings, communication faults, and behavior that sends owners chasing parts they may not need. This is also why a pre-purchase scan matters. A dashboard with no lights does not prove there are no stored faults. Modern cars remember things. Reading those codes, then checking whether they return, can reveal the difference between an old harmless event and a problem somebody recently cleared. At this point, I was no longer asking, can the car drive? I was asking, can I trust the whole car without becoming its unpaid technician? The next section is where those small electronic annoyances turn physical, because rough roads revealed which car was actually holding itself together best. Number 8. The suspension exposed. Which car was really aging? Broken roads expose it immediately. A loose link can knock. A tired bushing can make steering feel vague. A worn damper can let the body float after a dip. A poor alignment can chew through expensive tires while the owner blames the tire brand. Mercedes' early advantage was comfort, so every suspension noise felt like money leaving the cabin. The car was still pleasant, but it was no longer floating over bad surfaces with the same effortless calm. Quattro-equipped cars could feel especially confident when grip became poor. BMW's ride was firmer, yet the chassis still felt coherent. The steering remained direct. The body settled quickly. The car felt used, but it did not feel tired. Tires became part of the story too. Uneven wear can expose alignment or suspension trouble before you hear a single knock. A car wearing through the inside edge of an expensive tire may be telling you something about bushings, geometry, or previous damage that the seller has not mentioned. A high-mileage car does not need to feel new. It needs to feel worth fixing. That matters because high-mileage ownership is rarely decided by one dramatic failure. It is usually decided by how many small warnings you can catch before they become expensive. The car that gives you time to react, symptoms, and predictable repairs is often easier to trust than one that hides trouble. Mercedes was asking me to restore lost refinement. Audi was asking me to respect its complexity. BMW was mostly asking me to maintain what was still working well. That difference sounds small until labor charges enter the conversation. The next mileage jump forced me to stop judging these cars by feel and start judging them by what ownership can actually cost. Number 7. The repair numbers. Made the badge look cheap. A luxury car can lose half its value. Its parts do not become half as complicated. Brand-wide repair data makes that clear. RepairPal places average yearly repair and maintenance costs for Mercedes, BMW, and Audi around the high hundreds of dollars, with Audi and BMW close to $1,000 and Mercedes a little lower. You can buy one of these cars for ordinary car money and still receive luxury car invoices. Imagine tires, control arms, a coolant leak, and a battery landing in the same year. Together, they can make an owner give up. High-mileage repairs rarely ask permission to arrive one at a time. A battery can fail the same month the front suspension needs work. Add brakes and tires, and an affordable German saloon can consume several $1,000s without suffering one dramatic mechanical failure. The 3 Series was not winning by being cheap. It was winning because the money I would spend felt more likely to preserve a car I still enjoyed and trusted. Mercedes repairs increasingly felt like paying to recover refinement that mileage had taken away. Audi repairs made me think about the systems behind the system. If one of these cars has ever surprised you with a painful bill, put the repair and the mileage in the comments. Give people the real number, not just "it was expensive." Someone watching may be shopping for the same car today, and your comment could be the warning that saves them from buying the wrong example. The Audi still had one huge advantage that could justify extra complexity. The next section tested whether Quattro was worth paying for after the easy miles were gone. Number 6. Quattro was brilliant. Until I counted the extra hardware. When the road turns wet, cold, or slippery, an A4 with Quattro can feel wonderfully secure. It can also make buyers forget a simple mechanical truth. More driven wheels usually mean more parts sharing the work. Depending on the exact model, that can mean extra shafts, joints, differentials, clutches, bearings, and related components compared with a simpler 2-wheel drive layout. It makes careless ownership more expensive. Wrong sizes, badly mismatched tread depths, poor alignment, or cheap replacements can create problems you never needed. A used Audi deserves 4 good tires, not 2 good ones and 2 excuses. That is why I would never judge Quattro only by how good it feels in rain. I would judge the records behind it. Correct tires, clean servicing, and no unexplained vibration matter more to me at high mileage than a seller repeating that all-wheel drive is bulletproof. Had the transmission been serviced correctly? Was the coolant system dry? Were the tires matched? Was every vibration normal? Had previous owners repaired issues properly or simply cleared the warning light before selling? The Audi was becoming the car with the longest interview before every long-term commitment. Audi just made the checklist longer, yet complexity alone did not decide the result. The next stage was more revealing because it had nothing to do with one dramatic component. It was about what happened when I stopped inspecting the cars and simply lived with them every day. Number 5. Daily life, made. The BMW feels strangely normal. The best car can become the one you stop thinking about. Start it, drive it, park it, repeat tomorrow. No smell, no new warning, no strange hesitation. No reason to search a forum at midnight. Mercedes still showed why people become loyal to the badge. In bad weather, Audi could make the other two feel less planted. The BMW simply required less emotional energy. This was the point where the BMW stopped feeling like the surprising choice and started feeling like the sensible one. I still expected it to punish me eventually because the old reputation was hard to forget. Instead, the boring days kept stacking up, and boring was exactly what I wanted. That overall confidence and consistency mattered more than speed or badge prestige. At this mileage, peace of mind had become the luxury feature I valued most. In a recent What Car? Reliability survey for executive cars, the Petrol 3 Series scored about 98%. The Audi A4 from the comparable used generation sat around 90%, while the C-Class results were lower depending on generation. It does mean the stereotype has become lazy. A neglected 3 Series can still empty your bank account. A beautifully maintained C-Class can outlast it. A carefully serviced A4 can make this whole ranking look foolish. BMW now had the statistical edge and the daily driving edge. That should have settled the argument. It did not. The next test asked whether the car still felt like luxury products after 100,000 miles, and that gave Mercedes one last chance to take control. Number 4. The cabins revealed what 100,000 miles really cost. Look at the driver's seat bolster. Touch the steering wheel. Press every button. Open every door. Listen for rattles. Run the air conditioning. Move the powered seats. Pair a phone. Test every window. Mercedes still created the biggest visual event. Lighting, screens, trim, and flowing design made the cabin feel expensive even when the car was standing still. One rattle, one sticky control, one trim piece that no longer sat perfectly. Its design was calmer and more restrained. Solid controls and simple shapes helped the cabin hide age surprisingly well. It was not always the prettiest. It remained the easiest place to drive from. After hours on the road, that mattered more than the first 5 minutes of showroom theater. Here was the surprise. Mercedes still looked the most luxurious, Audi still felt the most solid, BMW still felt the most useful. At 100,000 miles, usefulness began beating theater. Cabin condition gave clues. Shiny steering wheels, crushed seat bolsters, scratched switches, and broken trim do not prove neglect, but they can reveal how an owner treated it. A spotless service book beside a battered interior deserves questions. If these 3 were sitting on a dealer lot tomorrow, which one would I actually risk my own money on? Number 3. Buying them. Used, changed. Every rule. I want service records. I want a cold start. I want the fault code scanned. I want the underside inspected. I want to see the coolant level before the engine gets warm. I want to know whether leaks were repaired or simply cleaned. I want every electronic feature tested. I want 4 quality tires with sensible tread. On the Mercedes, I would watch suspension condition, mounts, cooling health, transmission behavior, oil leaks, and electronics based on the exact year and engine. On the Audi, I would pay close attention to coolant loss, water pump history, oil use, transmission behavior, electronics, and all-wheel drive maintenance where fitted. On the BMW, I would inspect for oil leaks, cooling system problems, worn suspension, electrical faults, and evidence that servicing was performed properly rather than stretched forever. A proper inspection can feel expensive before purchase, but it is cheap compared with buying someone else's postponed repairs. The goal is not to find a perfect car. The goal is to know what it needs, what has already been done, and whether the asking price leaves room for the next service. Before I reveal which one I would willingly take into another 100,000 miles, make your final prediction. Write Mercedes, BMW, or Audi in the comments, then add the one reason you trust that brand most. After the reveal, compare your reason with mine, because the deciding factor was not speed, looks, traction, or even the lowest average repair cost. It was something you only understand after the warranty, the novelty, and the excuses are gone. Number 2, I asked one question that changed. The whole result, Mercedes raised concerns through accumulation. Small suspension noises, aging mounts, electronic complaints, and cabin wear slowly chipped away at the refinement that made it feel special in the first place. Audi created a different kind of hesitation. Cooling system concerns, transmission history, electronics, and all-wheel drive complexity meant I wanted stronger service records before trusting it for another long stretch. BMW had problems too. Leaks were possible, suspension parts could wear, electronics could still misbehave. Proper servicing remained absolutely necessary, yet something about the overall package kept making me hesitate before writing it off. That was when I stopped asking which car had the fewest faults. I started asking a much harder question. Which one would I actually trust to begin another 100,000 miles tomorrow? Not which one looked best, not which one felt most luxurious, not which one had the strongest badge reputation. I wanted the car whose weak points felt manageable, whose major systems still inspired confidence, and whose problems had not destroyed the reason I wanted to own it. By this stage, all 3 had given me reasons to walk away. Only one had given me enough reasons to stay. Now the keys were sitting in front of me. Mercedes, BMW, Audi. One of them was about to get picked up. Number 1 is where I finally reveal which one survived. Number 1, the BMW was the only one I still wanted to keep. The BMW 3 Series wins. The steering still had purpose. The chassis still felt controlled. The drivetrain still felt eager. The automatic transmission remained one of the strongest parts of the package. Mercedes survived mechanically, but too much of its original magic depended on perfect refinement. As that perfection faded, every vibration, rattle, or suspension issue felt bigger, because comfort was the reason to choose it. Its solid cabin, secure road manners, and Quattro confidence are real strengths. The problem was trust. Cooling system history mattered. Transmission behavior mattered. Electronics mattered. Drivetrain complexity mattered. I wanted more proof before giving it another 100,000 miles. I still wanted the BMW. BMW is not automatically reliable. Mercedes is not automatically fragile. Audi is not automatically a money pit. That is why one sentence matters more than every badge argument in this video. Buy the history, not the logo. Still, place 3 comparable petrol cars in front of me with complete records, good inspections, equal condition, and 100,000 miles already showing, and I know which key I take. BMW. Mercedes made the strongest first impression. Audi made bad weather feel easiest. BMW made high mileage feel least frightening. That is also why this result is closer than the headline makes it sound. All 3 can reach serious mileage. The difference is how much confidence remains when they get there. The BMW kept the strongest balance of driving enjoyment and recent reliability evidence after the odometer crossed 6 figures. That is why, when the easy miles disappeared, only one truly survived this test. If this comparison changed the way you look at one of these brands, share the video with the person who still believes every German badge ages the same. The next used car mistake usually begins with exactly that assumption. Thanks for watching. If you found this German car comparison helpful, let us know in the comments. Want to see which luxury cars look cheap to buy but become expensive to own? Click the video on the left. And if you don't want to miss more car guides, hidden problems, and used car warnings, hit that subscribe button.